All right, welcome into another edition of Catching Up with Tommy Mac podcast here on 1010XL's podcast platform, 1010XL.com, the 1010XL app, and inside the brand new 1010XL podcast studio, and brought to you by my good friends at Team Tommy Mac. Great to be here. Great to be alive. Happy Friday to everybody out there. Of course, you see Vita de Tequila. Sometimes if you drink too much of it, you got to be careful out there, but some of the best tasting tequila that you will taste out there. Great to come on board. I'll talk about Team Tommy Mac in just a little bit. Lots to get into with the combine coming around, with free agency right here, and a little bit of this, a little bit of that in the sports world. Before I go any further, once again, just want to thank everybody out there for the kind words, the condolences regarding the passing of our mother, Joan, who is now in heaven. I truly, truly appreciate it. My family appreciates it. And she was a great mom, a great person, a great human being. We'll miss her greatly. But I just want to say thank you to all you out there. It means a lot. It really does, man. Getting those kind words from old friends, new friends, Facebook friends, on Twitter, text messages. It's been a plenty. And can't thank every one of you. Every one of you enough. All right, I got to start real quick. You may have seen the clip on the 1010XL Twitter and YouTube and everywhere else, where during yesterday's helmets and heels, 2 minutes to go in the women's hockey, and boom, they tie it up. We went crazy. It was absolutely incredible. Of course, went to overtime. The show ended. By the time I got home, they had won the game on a game winner by Boston College's own Megan Keller in overtime, a thriller to win gold, to beat Canada. And it's a great thing. The Olympics has been great. My wife and I were watching again last night. We're like, wouldn't it be great if it was on like every night? Like throughout the year, you can just watch these people compete and what they do. But definitely been fun to watch. And now the men got to do it now too. Of course, they're still in it and hoping to take down that gold medal as well. It's been an awesome Olympics. So congrats to all the Olympians. And we appreciate that. It gives us time to fill in the void when football is not going on. So we always appreciate that. Of course, the NFL doesn't stop. The tag session started on Tuesday. It'll go for a couple weeks. The NFL Combine fastly approaching, free agency fastly approaching, start of the league year fastly approaching. Jaguars brass, it looks like, will not be attending the NFL Combine this year. Now, they get this kind of process or this kind of look through their time with the LA Rams. It's James Gladstone. The Rams have been known for not attending the combine. I guess we don't have a pick to number 56. What's the point? Look, I understand that it's a big networking event. I understand that you got to go through interviews and things like that. The medical is very important. But does the brass have to be there to go or not to go? I personally, I wouldn't want to go through all the interviews. I think it's a bunch of BS, to be honest. I think those guys, they're prepped up. They're coached up. They're going to give you canned answers. I don't know. Look, you can see everything about them as a football player on film, at least from my point of view. The one thing I would miss if I'm the Jaguars is watching the big dudes run and move in space. And I know you can get that done on your visits at at your own facility, but in that kind of environment, that kind of competition, all the big guys there, they're all wondering who's the best, all wondering who's going to be the out of all. And I think it would be cool to see that, especially this year, because that's where the focus has got to be, up on that offensive, mostly defensive line. I'm okay with the offensive line unless you draft somebody later on. But you do want to see the big men. We'll take a look at them a little bit as now the draft season has approached. Here's the problem, though. It's not a great year for three techniques. Where we pick in the draft and in free agency, and it's not a plethora. The one guy is John Franklin Myers for the Broncos, a tremendous inside type player. But that's going to cost a ton of money. I keep hearing that you can always maneuver the cap, right? You know that you can do that. But I keep hearing they're really up against the cap, so they do have to be really careful on who they pay, who they restructure, how they're going to free up some money for the draft picks, just for having some side pocket cash, for guys that may help you for a year on 1-year deals. So you got to have that type of cap space available. You can restructure post 1 June. I'll tell you this, because I don't think there's a better, other than John Franklin Myers, a better available 3 technique or nose tackle for our team than what we had last year. And if Eric is healthy, and that's an if, because you got to stay healthy, and if Devon Hamilton can continue to do what he does against the run, I don't think there's anybody like, oh, yeah, I just got to go get that person. On the inside. On the outside, yeah, Crosby, Hendrickson, I get that. But on the inside, it doesn't feel like there's a real upgrade there to just say, okay, bye Eric Armstead, bye, look, Agba's not going to be here. I don't think he's going to be here. I think Austin Johnson's got a chance to be here. I think they really liked him, especially against the run. Of course, Devon. I don't think Smoot will be here. I do think you've got to invest in the younger guys. You got to draft. I'll talk about a few of those guys. But even in the draft, most of the top prospects are nose tackles. Now, some have pass rushing ability, so maybe you look at it. But they're not that 3 technique, that penetrating 3 technique over the guard who can just wreak havoc. Calais. Eric Armstead can do that when healthy. He can. And he was off to a good year last year. We got to hope that the hand's better. But with that being said, I'm still looking to upgrade or trying to add, hopefully it's an upgrade, to the defensive line. Now, you talk about a Max Crosby. If I can find a way to get him, yeah, I would. Are you kidding me? Can you imagine? Dempsey brought this up on the radio. I thought it was great. Brian Thomas Jr. plus the 2027 first-round pick to get Max Crosby. Would you do that deal? I said yes right away. I think if I don't have to deplete my defensive line, like get rid of guys just to bring Max in, and I give up a next year's first-round pick, I mean, I couldn't imagine adding Max Crosby to our defensive line. I mean, that would be just incredible. You move Trayvon down. You can move him inside. He can do tremendous things for your football team. Will they do that? I don't know. That's been a rumor out there. Buffalo, would they want a number 1? Of course they would. I saw a rumor Mike Evans would love to go play for Josh Allen. Who wouldn't if you're a number 1 wide receiver, and they need one? I saw Brian Thomas Jr. swap with Keon Coleman with the Bills. I'd much rather do it with Max Crosby, even though it costs me more. I just think he would make that much of a difference on our defense. And that's been the problem. That was the problem last year. And it wasn't a problem. Just if you had to pick, where do we need more help on? We need more help on that defensive side. Now, you got to replace Brian Thomas. You got to replace that speed down the field. Now, granted, he wasn't utilized a lot until midway through or later, but that's his role. And then the question is, because if you don't replace that, are you still getting the same production out of Parker Washington? Are you still getting the same out of Jacoby Myers? Because you need that outside guy to keep that safety honest. So if you replace that, then it's all good. Because Brian Thomas wasn't a superstar last year. He was the year before. But keep in mind, the year before was mostly with Mac Jones, who's not here. So they didn't draft him. So I could see them, wondering. Now, again, you got to figure out how you replace that outside guy. I don't think you just send Parker Washington out there and he's the guy and he has the same kind of impact. I like Parker inside. He can play outside when needed, but I want him inside working those safeties, working those nickels, and really putting pressure on those that inside of the defenses, because that's where he's best. Give him the ball and let him do his yak. But if they could come up with a way to get a trade like that done, I mean, look, I would be all for it. But I think Jag fans, we got to be prepared. Lloyd aside, I think we're going to have pretty much the same defensive line. Now, there's a couple of edges out there that I would look at and I would consider as a free agent. Now, all depends on costs. Again, from what you hear, we're really up against it, the cap. You hear teams like Seattle, there's 3 teams that have $100 million in cap space. 100 million. Tennessee being one of them. Tell me they're not going to go all in. They're going to go all in. Their chips are going to be all in. So I don't think there's going to be any kind of massive turnover here on Jacksonville's team. I think we got to figure out how to fit everybody, not lose everybody, and maybe add one or two impact players that are going to make my team that much better. Gardeck, a guy like Gardeck, I'm bringing back as long as, he doesn't get outpriced. You know what I mean? I mean, look, they signed him on that one-year deal. He's really good. I want him back. I like his attitude. I like what he brings to the table. He can help you in the pass rush game. If you rush him more, I think you got to rush him more. But there's a guy that you better have some money to be able to bring back. I don't think you want to just send him off. And I think he fit pretty well in Anthony Campanelli's defense. So they've got a lot of work to do. And I do think you can go a few different ways. Like I mentioned, the tag is up. I'm not tagging Lloyd. It's too much. It's $28 million or $27 million. I wouldn't do that. And that tag money goes right to the top. You know what I mean? ETN Jr., I think I'm going to let him walk too. I do. I think I would look at a Rashad White to come in, reunite him with Liam Cohen, reunite him with the new run game coordinator that they just grabbed from Tampa, and let ETN Jr. go out there and make as much money as he can. I'll miss him. I want him. We'll miss the 13 touchdowns, but look, they drafted for a reason. They found a gem in LaQuinn Allen for third down. It may be time to just let Travis Etienne hit the streets and see what he can do. But back to these edges that I've found, a Boye Mafe type, a guy like that. Like, look, would I like a Bradley Chubb? Yeah, but I don't know if we're going to be able to afford Bradley Chubb. Maybe we'll have to see what the market is. 8.5 sacks a year ago. Before that was hurt. But really made an impact. Miami let everybody go. By the way, think about the Tua situation. You gave him that big ass extension, and now he's no longer. They're not going to be a Dolphin. How about that, apples? That's terrible, man. Absolutely terrible. And you went for it and you lost because he is not the guy at all. But back to these guys, Uchenna Nwosu from Seattle. Could he be a guy that's kind of mid-range that can help us? He could play Sam, and he could play. He can rush. Could he replace the Devin Lloyd? Possibly, if you go that route. Again, I'd like to see Devin back. I like to see Travis back. I just don't think they're going to be able to afford either one of them at the levels that they're going to command out there on the open market. Rashawn Gary is available. He's been a pass rusher in the past, has had some injuries. The problem with some free agents, except for the young guys going on to a second contract, you don't want a guy that, is just going to be okay. You thought you had that with Emmanuel Ogbah last year. Like, he'd come in off the bench, give you 5 sacks. Great. That's a great thing. But he didn't give you that. You know what I mean? So I don't want to take another swing if you're going to miss on a guy like Gary. I'd be more apt to look at Bradley Chubb, Boye Mafe, or Uchenna Nwosu. I think those guys. Quandon Muhammad out of Detroit had 11 sacks last year in 25. Could he be a guy off the edge that maybe you could fit in your system and fit in your pocketbook? Again, I think it's going to be challenging with all the lack of cap space that our Jacksonville Jaguars have, at least currently in the 2026 offseason. Yeah, I'm looking at the list of defensive tackles. So, Jordan Elliott out of San Fran, 28. Tim Settle out of Houston, 29. You don't know who they are. Logan Hall, 26. He's a 3-4 DN. We don't need that. Here's a name I wrote down, and he got in trouble with the league because he does some funny business and piles, but Christian Wilkins. Remember when he went to the Raiders? I wonder if the Raiders still own his rights. He got hurt and never played. Could he be a guy that could be available to come in as a 3? Now, that's an interesting upgrade. Yeah, right? I don't like all the tomfoolery stuff, but that guy can play football. He's a pretty good 3 technique. Could he be a guy that's potentially available for our Jacksonville Jaguars? I don't know. That would be an interesting one. But these other guys, other than John Franklin Myers, who's 29, maybe Levi from Detroit, Onwukurike. I totally butchered that, but I know who that guy is. He stands out from time to time. I don't know. Those are going to be those inexpensive type signings, but they got to be able to rush the passer. You got to be able to rush the pass. I know Dickerson got re-signed. He's a guy that's got some pass rush capability, but I want more. I want to see more on that defensive front. As far as the draft coming out, where we could maybe pick again. Some of these guys are nose tackles. Lee Hunter out of Texas Tech, maybe in the 3rd round. Could we get there? Could we get him? Zane Durant out of Penn State, little undersized as far as height, but a really good first step, they say, maybe in the 3rd round there. Dante Corleone, I mean, who wouldn't love that name on the interior defensive line out of University of Cincinnati? Another Texas Tech, Skylar Gill Howard has been named as a guy in that 4th or 5th round. CJ Fight out of ASU, 4th or 5th round. So I haven't watched these guys play ball, but watching their rankings, seeing where they could fit, and seeing where we pick. So, of course, we got a 2nd rounder, 3 in the 3rd. Can we bring that all together and get 4? Let's bat 750 out of those 4. Let's get 3 impactful players. Don't have to be full-time starters, but got to be good grunts. Got to be guys that can really make an impact in the role that they're going to be playing with our Jacksonville Jaguars. So hopefully they can figure that out. But again, I don't want to say slim pickings, but it's kind of slim pickings in what we need this year on the defensive side of the ball. It'll definitely be interesting. Travis Hunter, now our corner. Do we keep Buster? Buster or Greg Coleman? No disrespect to Greg Coleman, but I would take Buster. If I could fit him in my budget, I'm taking Buster Brown, Monteric Brown. He's shown that he's gotten better and better, and last year was a really good year for him. He's going to command some money. How do you free it up? Again, you can restructure some guys and free up that cap. And players love it because they get the money. If you're owed $14 million and I restructure it and make 10 of that a signing bonus, well, your cap went from $14 million to half of 10 and 4. That's 9, right? So you save me $5 million. Players are going to do that all day long, which is a good thing. So they'll figure it out with who they can do that with. I think Devon's a candidate. He's at $8 million. And I know Eric's up there pretty high at 14, 15 million, if not higher. So maybe they can restructure and free that up and grab a piece or two. Look, you missed on Agba, and it's a shame. I really thought he was going to come in and really provide some situational Arden Key type, not super duper, but give you 5-6 sacks, help the guys out, make good plays, big plays at certain times. But that obviously didn't happen, and it's a shame. I think Austin Johnson, again, he'll be here. I don't think Smoot will be here. I wish him the best. Obviously, he's been a great Jaguar, no doubt about that. Will Dewey Wingard be back? Will he? There's no one more Jaggier than him. I mean, that guy's been a Jaguar forever, survived coaching changes. I don't know. Ransaw's got to be the guy. Hopefully he's healthy. Antonio Johnson's one of my safeties. I've been saying that. I'm not looking to upgrade him at all whatsoever. But, Wingard, here's the thing with Wingard, in my opinion. He can blitz, will come up and hit you, will make some plays in the secondary. I think he's a good center fielder. Like he can, get on that hash or down the middle and get to either sideline if he reads it right. He's not slow. He's just not ultra fast. I think when he gets beat, he lost his guy in coverage a couple of times. They get past him. He doesn't have that makeup speed. I didn't have it either, but he doesn't have it. So, you would look to upgrade the athletic ability if you were sure that you'd get the leadership, knowing the system, being in the right place the majority of the time. I thought Dewey Wingard had a good year. I would be happy for him to come back. I'd also be happy for him if he went out there and got some more money. They did extend him under the last regime, and rightfully so. And, would he be able to guarantee that again out there on the open market? That remains to be seen. If I'd have to, push and shove, who am I sending packing first? It'd probably be Wingard. If between the Lloyd and ETN, it would have to be Wingard. And I like saying that because he's been a good football player, but at the same time, you've got to you got to make sure that you keep up with the athleticism back there. You got to have a safety that can cover deep and have some makeup speed to get there. You heard the news about the Chicago Bears potentially moving to Hammond, Indiana. Ironically, Taylor Dahl educated me. That's where the Bears first started under Hallis before he moved them to Chicago in Hammond, Indiana. I think it's a shame that Chicago would let that stadium outside the city. Arlington Park, I grew up in Arlington Heights, or I grew up in Buffalo Grove, but was born in Arlington Heights. We used to go to the track Friday afternoons, especially after college or in college when I was home. Dollar beers and bet on the horses. It was a great Friday afternoon in the suburbs of Chicago in Arlington Heights. They could do it there. I know what they want. They want everything. They want the entertainment center to go with it. They want Patriot Place. Patriots way ahead of their time. My good friend Jack Mueller, who was my agent at one time, he worked for the Pats. And all he did, his first job was doing the land contracts, the acquisition of the land parcels around the stadium to create Patriot Place. Robert Kraft, way ahead of his time. And it's a destination. Think about it. I mean, they're the New England Patriots. They're not the Boston Patriots, but they're far out from the city, and they still have this destination of Patriot Place. Winning helps. There's no doubt winning Super Bowls helps, but that's what they want. Damn shame they can't figure it out in downtown. I don't like teams moving out of downtown. I don't. I think Miami leaving Miami was stupid. You're Lauderdale. That's so far away from being the Orange Bowl. I played in the Orange Bowl a couple times. 1990, I played there one time. 1990 against the Miami Hurricanes. And it was just the history there was insane. Granted, you got to replace stadiums over time. I get that, but do what we're doing here. Look, if they went down to St. Johns County, yeah, I guess it'd be cool, but I don't know. You're still I don't know. Look, the Jets and the Giants play in New Jersey. I get it. They don't play in New York. Shea Stadium. I wish the Jets played in New York. I think that would be fantastic. But, if the Bears can't stay downtown, so be it. I hope Arlington Heights is the place and not Northwest Indiana. I don't really give two shits either way, to be honest with you. That doesn't impact me at all, but I don't know. If that was us, I wouldn't be happy. I like that we're the epicenter. I like what's coming to downtown. I think Shad Khan and his crew are in a great position in what they're doing with the new stadium, with the Four Seasons, and what else that will bring. It will be an entertainment center district, no doubt about that. All right, what do the Jags do this offseason? It's going to get kickstarted. Doesn't look like they're going to the combine. Excuse me. I'm okay with that. I don't, whatever. Just make sure. And look, they deserve the benefit of the doubt, right? I mean, they won 13 games last year. If that's what James Gladstone and Liam and Tony feel, then so be it. I would think Baselli still goes. Excuse me. I think Baselli still goes just for the networking. You're going to want to do deals with people. Maybe him and Gladstone go, but they're not going to. I don't know. Like, you got to get the medical, but you could do that at your facility. You got to do the interview, but you could do that at your facility. You don't need to do that. My ADD would take me in faraway places if I had to interview kid after kid after kid. That'd be a problem. So I don't care about that. Again, you can watch 40s. You can watch movement. Do they really have to be there? I don't know. You don't have a first-round pick, so does it really, really matter? Unless you're going to move up and really scout somebody. But again, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt and not attending the 2026 Combine. You know what? I didn't attend it either. I wasn't invited. So we got that in common. But I do wish all the athletes that go to the Combine, because it's a great spot to showcase your skill set, showcase what kind of kid you are. And, the rest is going to have to be done by the players, by their research, by talking to people, by looking at film, understanding what kind of person you are. Again, it's all about here in Jacksonville, do they love the game of football? Is it their everything? Aside from faith and family, is it their everything in their life? And that's the kind of player, that's the kind of person that they want in the organization here in town. Of course, want to thank Team Tommy Mac. You guys are fantastic. Go to TommyMac.net. You'll see their logos there, their website's embedded inside the logo. They're fantastic. Love having them all. They're always there for you when needed. I was at Newmark Phoenix Realty Group earlier today, and I always talk about their top in class. Well, guess what? I took a video of all their awards. It took me like 4 or 5 videos to get around the room in their conference room of all the plaques and all the awards, and it just shows why they're the best out there in the commercial real estate world, and I'll share that with you as well. But check them all out at TommyMac.net, and I tag them on all my posts on Facebook, so you can go to their pages as well. All right, that'll do it for me. First show in the podcast studio here at the 1010XL headquarters. Absolutely fantastic. Trent, thanks so much for putting it together. Jacob as well, and we'll see you next time right here on Catching Up